Train Dispatcher Operators Manual, Bnsf, rate November 1st, 2001, 40.0, General Instruction for Train Dispatchers 40.1. Safety work practices are the most important aspects of the profession. Taking shortcuts to save time will impact the safety performance of your duties. All unsafe and unusual conditions are reported to your immediate supervisor. 40.11, avoid dangerous conditions. Set up conditions to provide safety movement of the train engines and maintenance way of equipment. Deviation from any rule, except if safe practice accepted. 41.2, computer system, enter only correction information with the computer system. 41.3, hazardous materials, immediate report any cars containing hazardous commodities and damage leaking involved with the fire derailment to your supervisors. Be familiar with and understand the use of hazardous material and inquiry book programs. 40.2 rules books required. A current copy of the printed electronic follow documents must be maintained at each of the position. General Code of Operations, the Train Dispatcher Operation Control Operators Manual, the Maintenance of the Way Operation Rules, Timetable, Special Instructions, Safety Rules, General Responsibility for all employees, Air Brake Train Handling Rules, Hazardous Material Instruction, Emergency Response Guide Book. 43. Before giving information concerning train and train movements to others, require they identify themselves and their location. 44. Single track side warning detectors. 44.1. The train dispatcher may not grant permission to a train to pass a red flag. The train dispatcher may relay information from the employee in charge of the red flag. The 40.42. Bring blue signal protection. When a request is received to protect the mechanical department employment, providing the blue signal protection on the track into which access can be regained through a dual control switch. Line switches to prevent entry to the track and apply switch blocks. The control operator must provide blue signal protection on the main track. Avoid dual control or line switch blocks applied. May entry on the form provided protection is to be used using the following format. Employee name: you are granted blue signal protection on track. When the mechanical department employee contract completes work and releases the protection, make entry on the form provided. 44.3. Where stop must be made. The signal is disregarded and is apparent when the train has overrun the stop indication provided with the protection against the train that may be approaching the location where adjacent tracks and conflicting route may be followed. Notifying your supervisors of the fact. Hold the train until your supervisor provides the handling instructions. 44.4, verbal authority to pass the stop signal. Before granting a train verbally authority to pass signal, displaying stop indication as outlined in the GCOR Rule 9.12.1, CTC Territory Rule 9.12.2, Manual Interlockings. Verify the train crew that the stop indicated is visible. Block the switches and derails to prevent movements and request use the device switch block of the icon equipment or to be sure the switch block indicates a solid blue. Blocking must be maintained until the movement is clear of the switch. Apply blocking restricted label for the track segment beyond effective control point. Maintain unit of all the trains authorized under the provision of Rule 9.12.1 and 9.12.2 have occupied the track of the segment beyond effective control point have reached the end of the CTC manual interlocking limits. Authorize the train to pass. The stop indicates at one single at a time. 44.5. Relating authority to pass stop. When directing a radio communication is possible. When direct radio communication is possible, do not allow another employee to relay authority to pass the signal displayed at a stop station. Stop indication. When another employee must relay the information, the employee must be qualified for the General Code of Operations. 44.6. Failure signal. Immediately notify the single call desk. Request a single maintainer, single supervisor notification when the block system fails. Any of the following are the missing fixed signal aspects. Fixed signals are missing issue instruction. Approach of the trains is foul. Signal location number out of the order must regard with the display as must restrict identification. Single track automatic block signal territory addresses the instruction listed to the train moving above to the train moving in the opposite direction, covering the next opposing signal beyond the signal reported out of order. This will ensure that all movements in both directions will be within the affected block or restricted speed. With the CTC territory, apply the blocking marking devices per TDO-COM Rule 44.2. Keep the instructions in effect with the unit until the signal, until the signal conditions are correct and all functions in the signal system are normal. 44.7 signal aspect. When notified signal display more favorable than aspects required, for example, the false clear and false proceed outlined with the JCOR rule number 97, the failure to display most restrictive indication immediately required the train movements and affected the area to stop due to the following: black signal governing access to affected signal to edit adjacent controls in all directions with respective labels and area would prevent the signals in adjacent with the control point with the clearing into the limits. Notify the single call desk request the signal supervisor signal maintainer notification request further instruction concerning the train movement for the general superintendent transportation. With the CTC limit, you may route the traffic through the siding until the repairs are made and effective. The signal located with the siding switch displays a prospect aspect when aligned with the siding. Unless the reason conditions surrounding the chains and signal indication can definitely known, do not speculate the train crews for the reason for the change. 44.8 cross warning and power off indicators. Accidents and crossings. When accidents occur, cross equipped with the automatic warning device, flashers, bells, and gates. Immediately contact signal call desk and request single maintainer notification. Malfunction crossing warning. When notified with the crossing warning malfunction, flasher, bells, and gates to do the following: notify all the affected trains that the cross warning is a malfunction at the MP. And this notification may be done verbally or in writing. Restrict access to crossing until the affected trains are notified follows. When available to apply restrictive label. When restrictive label is not available, use a quick block and single block or train block. When the CWC tracks controlled crossing track warranty control, enter the temporary speed restriction TSR using cross location. Both have the MPs. Do not actually issue the temporary speed restriction to a train. However, do not edit the train speed restriction unless notification will occur in block 17 or and the train has already been notified. Notify the single call desk. Do not consider the warning devices to be properly units notified with the single department employee. Out of service crossing and warning. When notified single supervisor or signal officer, the crossing warning signals are temporarily out of service due to the following: notify the effective trains of the following cross warning signals at the MP out of service stop and protect the movement over the crossing even if the devices are still seen to be working. This notification may be done verbally or written. They notify an initial notification may be in a single maintainer verifying signal officer has approved the removal for service. No, if notified, the authorized employee, which such as a maintainer, the maintenance foreman, with the crossing of the B block from the use of the vehicle traffic gate, notification will be not necessary. The train must not operate normally over the crossing. When it restrict access with the crossing until the effective train are notified as follows. When available, apply a restrictive label. When a restrictive label is not available, we use a quick block, single block, or track block using the CTWC every and temporary speed restriction and using the cross location with the multiple MP entries of the zero speed as indicated with the comments line with the crossing warning. System out of service. Do not actually issue the track speed restriction to the train. However, do not edit the track speed restriction unless notification will occur in block 17 that the track warrant train have been already notified. Notify the signal call desk. Maintain the process for the single deployment employed. Advise if the cross warning signals as are back in service. Damage and missing crossbuck. When notified if the crossbucks are damaged or missing, the crossing are not equipped with automatic warning devices. The following: notify all the affected trains that the cross bucks damage and missing point. Protect this crossing and automatic warning devices malfunction. The notification may be done verbally or written. Provide notification under the maintenance of way personnel to investigate and repair the crossbuck. Power of the indicators when notified with limits are not illuminated on the power off indicators. Install the side of the signal housing highway crossing. Immediately notify the single call desk. This indicates the commercial has been lost. 44.9. Bridges protected with an absolute signal. When unable to provide a preceding indication of interest to a bridge that opens allow the water traffic to pass, do not grant authority to proceed until one of the following inspected the bridge unless the specifications instructs the same otherwise. Bridge tender, B&B foreman, track foreman, or single maintainer, one of the above must inspect the bridge to determine if the rails are properly aligned and wedged and are secured in place. 4410, trackside warning detector stop, reportable message. Provide timely notification to the signal call desk and trackside warning detector stops, portable messages that do not require stop, integrity, fuel, maintenance required, etc. If not necessary, to call the singles call. All desk in addition to inputting the information into the CAD training sheet, provide the following information with the trackside warning detector stops, time to stop, train ID, directive travel. Track on the train is on traveling on the number of locomotives on the head of each train, the number of axles in the train, if available, the track warrant detector number, alarm type, the draining equipment, hot journal, hot wheels, shifted load, too slow, integrity failure, excessive alarms, etc. Inspection, air leaks, brake sticking, dragging equipment, handbrake, hot journal, nothing found, power off retainer, similar failure, shifted load and release, etc. In addition, when the train crew finds a valid problem when inspecting the train, set out the car, provide the car identification to a signal call desk. 45. Inform train movement. Record the calls and final terminals. Include the car's excessive dimensions. Any car picked up along the line. Under the update, the cancel of the call and final outcome becomes apparent to the train to be within 30 minutes or more than indicated. The CWC database, the control traffic warrant control database. Inform the supervisor to notify the change of railroad. Identify point the change control after the CWC database, such as switch move, restricted line, signal yard sign moved. 47. Instructions and authority. 47.1. Instruction and authorities. Directing the movement of the train to issue the necessary authority instruction to provide such movements and planning as far as practical to take consideration all details and affected train operation to the extent possible. Give the train priority of the train preference. Delay no trains if necessary. Communication must brief, concise, explicit. All superfluous conversations use the term conflicting deviation from those prescribed by the rails must be avoided. Instructions and information issued to the employees must not be in them and in the position requiring suggesting rule infraction, and the instruction of the authorities do not commonly understand. If there is any doubt concerning the instruction, reissue them until they understand is reached. When the rules instruction specifically asks act, wording, issuing, release, and movement of authority is used exact work specified. The use of the term is all right. Any other word phrase that might be taken an affirmative reply to question must not be used in general conversation. When issuing authority to convey information for training and relating the train movement using a mobile radio access system, follow the proper identification radio procedures as outlined in Chapter 2 of the General Code of the Operations. 47.2. Repeated correctly. After issuing the instruction, authority has been repeated back correctly and or OK has been acknowledged, represented with this correct verified readbacks final field comparing by the readback to the dialog box. Written records of the authority is being repeated by the field personnel. 47.3. Relay instruction. When direction communication is not available to track authority instruction, read movement may be relayed through a dequalified employee. Such instruction must be given with the relaying of the employee will give the information to the destination employee. The destination employee receives the information. It should be repeated to relaying the employee who will repeat the information of the train dispatcher control operator if the correct words are okay with the time dispatcher inspection should be relayed on the same manner. 48. Picking up a crew member. Before granting permission to back up and to pick up with a crew member where overlapping authorities exist, do not do the following. Stop all the trains within the overlapping limits with the affected by the move, provided with the protection against the conflicting movements. Do not grant permission to back up movement where the MW authorities exist will be affected without job briefing with the MW employee. For example, the MW authorities granted behind 3 trains, it would be permissible to allow the first 2 trains to back up without job briefing of the MW, but not the 3rd train. The authority of the GCO Rule 66, picking up a crew member, Part 1, includes a train location lineups and track cars, cover car operator lineups. 49. Reverse movements. Before granting permission for the reverse movement where overlapping authorities exist, do the following. Stop all the other trains while the overlapping limits will be affected by the move, provided the protection against the signal conflicting controls constricting movements. 40.10. Authorizing return movement of the detached portion of the train when the train leaves the parts of the train main track. When the movement may enter the main track between the detached portion and returning the portion provided with the GCO or Rule 620 portion of the train left on the main track, do verbally relieve the protection. Issue authority to protect or remove to return the movement. 4011, protection of the equipment left on the main track. Provided with the protection before allowing a crew of the train to leave the equipment on the main track without the flag protection. Provide the protection in the following manner. With the CTC OCS manual, interlocking limits the track permit territory. Apply restrictive label or a quick block to the section of the track where equipable is left on the main track. With double track territory, with the track permit of the track warrant control is not effective to provide with the protection with the place of the restrictive label and the quick block within the entrance to limited with the double track. Notified if the restrictive quick block, white block is not available. Will set these signals governing entrance to the limits of the display stop indication applying the block devices to prevent signal from lining into the limits. The control track warranting control is provided with protection following manner. Report the train crew with of their track warrant and cleared of subdivision. Create a supply sheet of the train. Lead engine ID should be the read dispatch number 1. Check the train issued dispatch within the blocks 11 and 12X. The listing of the track is occupied with all the subsequent authorities to be issued for either the train and maintenance personnel. Before granting authority to enter the protected limits where the equipment has been left standing, notify the employee has been authorized the location of the equipment. Should use the following format. Equipment on the track between milepost and milepost. Remove the protection only after the track has been cleared and standing equipment. 4012, inoperative high visible mark. You're not allowed the train within an operative high visible mark to leave the location when a replacement mark is available or location is repaired point of the marks. 4013, General Order Superintendent Notice and Dispatcher Notice. General Order System Division Superintendent Notice, Dispatcher Notice are available electronically. Each dispatcher workstation with a hard copy of the posted with the Chief Dispatcher desk. Review the documents before commencing each day's work. 4014 bad orders. All effective employees must be notified of the bad orders that are not fit to move and that have been safety appliance defective. Consult your supervisor before such cars. Notify the way of the engines of the cars set out because of the flat spots. 4015 call signals. When riding in a control compartment with the engine, comply with the GCR Rule 516, observe and call signals. 4016 FRA track geometry inspection car inspection instruction. The 4016-1 FRA T10 car. The following is quoted with the Appendix C. The FRA T10 operating rules will govern the Bnsf railway. The T10 is modified by the SBV 2000 rail diesel car, which is measured the track geometry compliance with the fuel federal regulations. Each carrier is governed by the following T10 operated with the self-propelled mode. 1. Each train dispatcher of the T10 must be furnished with a copy of the Appendix. 2. The T10 must be operated with the compliance federal regulations, rules, and instruction of the railroad over which is being operated. 3. The railroad must provide a qualified engineered pilot for the vehicle. The T10 must not be operated on a main track outside of the yard limits unless the qualified engineer is piloting the movement. The pilot must notify the T10 operated with the limits of the movement of authority authorized speed at sufficient distance advance of any movement or speed restriction. The T10 must be operated with the train exempt for the automatic signal, must not be relied upon to provide protection against the following movements. The alternated method protection, including controlled signals, which feasible, must be utilized to provide protection against the following movements. When the method is operation can be provided with the absolute block protection against the following movements, it must be provided when the method of operation can be provided with the absolute block protection. The railroad must determine the provided maximum level protection available against the following movement. The T10 must not be operated. Lineups or other track authorities must be governed with a signal indication of the signal system territory. 6. The T10 is prohibited from making reverse movement regardless of the distance unless the movement is fully protected and made in accordance with the railroad operations rules. 7. The track control machines must be operated manually for the T10 movements. Automatic clearing and automatic routing features may not be used. The track control machine operated must be informed of the progress of the T10 from one control point to another. When provided with electrical or mechanical blocking devices must be used to switch and control signal controls. 8. The interlocking machines must be operated manually for the T10 movements. Automatic clearing and automatic routing features must not be used. The operator interlocking must not change the position of any switch indication of any signal when informed the T10 is clear of the interlocking or section thereof. With provided with electrical mechanical blocking device must be used the switching signal controls. The T10 must approach all interlocking prepared to stop and unite until route is known to be clear. If the T10 stop with the limits of interlocking interlocking, the control operator with the dispatcher must be notified of the stop in precise location. The T10 should not be stopped with the limits of the automatic interlocking, non-interlocking railroad crossing at the grade. If this stop cannot be avoided, the T10 must be avoided and protected against conflicting movements of ones. The flag protection will provide unless the positive method of protection are available, and the T10 is relieved from the responsibility of the train dispatcher. 12. An automatic block signal or traffic control system territory. T10 should be stopped on scene. If should be stopped and cannot be avoided, the T10 must be moved immediately to a sufficient distance and clear sanded portion of the rail. 13. The T10 must approach all the highway grade crossing equipment with automatic protection prepared to stop unless the determined protection is working. Continues. The T10 passes over the crossing. The flag protection against the highway vehicles must be provided with an automatic protection. Does not operate properly when required with railroad rules and instructions. 14. The T10 may be operated with which combines the yard provided with the movement and approved by proper railroad authority as pilot of the railroad employee qualified physical characteristics of the yard. 15. Except for the locomotive servicing area or the worker shop, the T10 must be repositioned at any time on the track portion of the train which is exclusively occupied by the T10 protected with a blue signal within a locomotive servicing area or car shop area. The T10 may be repositioned over the movements an authorized railroad employee charged of the work when blue signal requirements must comply with. No more than 4 persons permitted to occupy the control cab of the T10. These 4 persons are vehicle operators forward to observe engineering pilots from the FRA operating practice inspector carrier supervisor. 416.2. The FRA 2000 car. The T2000 car. The following FRA enclosures regarding the self-propelled track geometry inspection car instruction were governed by the Bnsf Railroad. The FRA Federal Railroad Administration Office Safety Manager of the High-Speed Railroad Track Geometry Inspection identified as the FRA 2000 measure the track geometry for compliance with the federal track safety standards. Each train dispatcher locomotive engineer pilot will be furnished with a copy of the enclosure of the prior to each day's survey. The contractor will conduct a safety briefing to all the occupants of the FRA 2000 on general safety, apply applicable operation and protection procedure whenever the FRA 2000 is operated, including the designated yard or restricted limits or other main track territories. The railroad will provide a locomotive engineering pilot, traveling engineer, or the road foreman to pilot the vehicle. The FRA 2000 T2000 will govern the applicability operating either signal or non-signal territories, except for the auto rating and automatic clearing feature will not be used, and all dual contrary all switches will be blocked. Absolute block protection and alternate protection methods control authority, including with the yard restricted limited territory, will be applied to the protect of the FRA T2000 for following opposing tracks on the track equipment. The FRA T2000 will be operated with the train. Authorization will not be issued for the FRA 2000 with a SAM of the overlapping limits of another train or track equipment, except for the facilities of the FRA 2000's disabled movement if necessary in accordance with the railroad operating rules. The FRA 2000 will not be operated by the lineup of movement of the track cars similar to the track equipment authorities. The FRA operating practices inspector prior to the FRA 2000 operation will communicate directly with the train dispatcher, locomotive engineering pilot to ensure that all operating rules in effect with the route to be delivered are understood and confirm. The FRA 2000 is dispatched as the train. Reference of applicable operating documentation will be made with confirming such of the information. The FRA 2000 operation practice inspector will be stationed immediately vicinity with the FRA 2000 method operation procedure movement may be monitored. 6. All mandatory directions transmitted with the received compliance with the railroad rules instruction for purposes of instruction. The difference of assigned crew members apply with only locomotive engineer pilot. The FRA 2000 operator relies on locomotive engineer pilot to identify the relatively road physical characteristic movement authority limits, authorized speed is sufficient and sufficient distance advance. The maximum operated speed over the vehicle is 90 miles per hour with the self-propelled 110 when towed by the locomotive. The vehicle is not equipped with the automatic cab signal, automatic train stop, and automatic train control system. Interlocking machines will be operated manually for the FRA 2000 movements. Automatic check clearing, routing, and the features will not be used. The control machine operator will be kept informed of the progress of the FRA 2000. One of the control point, another interlocking the control point operator will not change the position of any switch or indication of any signal until the information by the FRA 2000 is clear of the interlocking or section protection thereof. When provided with electrical mechanical blocking will be used on switch control. In the FRA 2000 will stop limits of any unlocking control. Operating dispatcher will notify the stop and precision location. The FRA 2000 T2000 will not be stopped within the limits of automatic interlocking, non-interlocking at a grade railway crossing. The FRA T2000 is equipped with operating controls at either end. The appropriate instruction will given to the FRA T2000 change ends to operate with the rear of the FRA T2000. Any reverse movement will be conducted in accordance with the railroad's operating rules. In the event of the FRA T2000 is relieved for any reason, the locomotive engineer or pilot may be utilized, but if agreeable, will continue the FRA T2000 operation with a daily final tie-up point. If the locomotive engineer is not willing to prohibit from the operating of the FRA T2000, the survey should be stopped in suitable port of the scheduled tie-up. If the locomotive was requested for towing, the contingency is one that will be addressed at the beginning of the survey to allow ample planning. The FRA T2000 will approach the highway railway crossing equipped with the automatic warning device, prepared to stop until determined the warning device activates. The FRA T2000 occupying crossing on ground protection against highway vehicles provided with automatic warning device file to fully activate. The FRA T2000 interferes with the normal function prescribed with the railroad rules and instruction. The automatic block signal traffic control system territory. The FRA T2000 should not be stopped on or other similar rail surfaces conditions affecting shutoff of the track circuit. It should stop being avoided. If such a stop can be avoided, but the FRA 2000 will be moved immediately sufficient distance clear the affected portion of the rail. 13. Neither the FRA nor the contractor employees will operate the railroad switch of the derail. Will rely upon the railroad employee to perform the function perfect to the devices. Blue signal derails locking devices owned by the FRA will be applied by the contractor's employees, but the receiving authority for the placement appropriate railroad representative of the blue signal will be displayed on or near the FRA 2000 control stand. Reader visible location key moved on the ground. The instrument verification checks are made. Similar positive protection brakes in place in emergency position. Surrounding of the locomotive reverse will be imposed if the FRA 2000 is towed by a locomotive. 14. Except for when the locomotive servicing area, the car shop area, the FRA 2000 must be repositioned by the FRA at any time of the track portion which is exclusively occupied by the FRA 2000, protected by the FRA owned devices within the locking service area. Iron car shop areas, blue signal rules will be placed accompanied with the protect anyone and under or about the FRA 2000. The FRA 2000 may be repositioned only after the movement is authorized by the railroad employee in charge of the working and approved by the FRA. 15. When occupied with the request of the FRA 2000 will protection provided by the railroad. Additional FRA 2000 will be relocated coupled with over the rolling equipment with the permission of the FRA to prevent undesirable remote control of manual operated switches provided with the entrance track occupied. The FRA 2000 will be aligned with the movement of the track when provided with electrical mechanical blocking will be used to switch the signal controls. Additional switch will be secured by an effective locking device inclusive of the FRA which switch stands operating mechanism equipped with visible all-weather display tag warning any or the users out of service do not operate. If the switch cannot be aligned or locked, the described derails capable of restricting access will be used instead of an effective locking device. The placement of the front and rear and portable train controls signal may be displayed in the center of the track adjacent with the derails, making the presence of the FRA 2000, while the sign consists of a 16 24-inch red metal reflectorized placard affixed with a metal post signifying the rolling equipment cannot pass. The FRA T2000 will be securely choked and prohibited of its own motion. Alright, 17. Crews relieved on hours service. When train engine crews relieved on a line because of the hours service law due to the following, to tell the crew that they are relieved as the crew of the train will have no further duties with respect to the train. Inform the crew of the location where their transportation will pick them up. 4017-1. Ordering relief crews. When necessary to order a relief crew, call the relief crew when the transportation is sufficient time allowed the crew to be relieved to arrive at the final tie-up at the point before exceeding their hours of service. 4017-2. Track warranting bulletins. Relief for the short-term crews. The relief for the short-term crews are called all the range and the finish of the crews which fresh track of the warranting bulletins that have leave their initial terminal whenever possible. If preferable to have a crews may be relieved to their old track warrants or bulletins and with them and not to leave them on the train. All right, 1418. Knowledge of territory. Familiarize yourself with the physical characteristics of the territory in which you are assigned, particularly with the grade conditions, location, sighting, yard traffic signal, yard locate, limits, restricted limits, territory with special instructions required, specific actions. Before working at a position where the training and maintenance with way authorized under the rules have not been worked within more than 180 days, inform the supervisor to refamiliarize and can be arranged. Before working in a position of the CWC or the CTWC, you have not worked within one more have not worked with for more than 180 days. Inform your supervisor that so they can be familiarized with the rearrange. When possible, refamiliarization on the equipment is necessary, coordinated with the supervisor in order to post the district or to work. 419 student dispatcher evaluation submitted with complete student dispatcher evaluation from each of the student dispatcher that has not completed with their 60-day probationary period. Submit the form of the supervisor each of the fifth day of the student is training on your district that may be submitted with a sealed envelope. Responsibilities for delivering the blank form to dispatching provided with on-job training resting with the student dispatcher. Review of these evaluations will assist the development of the new dispatcher. Identifying the dispatcher complete these evaluations can be kept from confidential. 4020. Federal Railroad Administration mandates requires operation testing. Specific groups of railroad employees do not divulge information of field personnel about testing activities or any other information that would interfere with or affect the outcome of such a test. 4021. Rules and violations. When it becomes apparent that you and your employees in the field may be involved in any of the rules violation, immediately report the violation to your direct supervisor. 422. Passenger train operation. 422.1. Delaying and reporting. Do not delay passenger trains for freight trains or maintenance work unless they are authorized by supervisors. When authority is relieved to delay a passenger train, the initial authorizing supervisor and the delaying report. Plan your work sufficiently to advance to avoid a delayed passenger train while minimizing freight train delays, maximizing maintenance activities. 4022.2. Schedules. Keep a current copy of the Bnsf for passenger train schedule at each dispatcher desk handling passenger train. A current copy will be provided with the Bnsf passenger service unit, including in these schedules are regular passenger trains except for the Chicago Division suburban trains. And in addition, with the Bnsf passenger train schedule, dispatch jurisdiction working Chicago Division must have the current suburban train schedule at their desk. When operating additional passenger trains becomes necessary, when regular passenger trains and schedules are changed, it will be provided with the schedule sufficiently advanced to plan to your work accordingly. 4023. On-duty dispatcher and probationary dispatchers. Dispatchers assigned to dispatching districts must not leave the company property without notifying the supervisor unless an emergency condition exists. Probationary dispatcher and dispatcher qualifying, requalifying on a dispatching position or not leave the company property without permission from the chief dispatcher responsible for that territory. Dispatchers who are training a probationary dispatcher are required to present both the beginning of the shift transfer and end of the shift transfer. 4024. High rail limit compliancy. On territories with high rail limits compliancy and the effective warning display or HLCS indicated with that GPS and high limit rail compliance systems equipped with the vehicles associated with the authority to be exceeded their order limits. The warning is to be a snapshot of the traction information presented to the dispatcher in the form of the box red background, displaying the foreman's name, vehicle identification number, subdivision, current post information. The GPS vehicle acknowledgement is the warning GPS indication outside authority limits warning. Foreman vehicle ID number Smith 96056, subdivision James, this file notes milepost 4620, report time 10:31:20 Central. When warning is displayed, immediately check the opposition conflicting authorities to provide protection against the conflicting movements. Contact the employee vehicle number that was reporting on the warning box to verify the location. If it is determined that the employer of the vehicle has exceeded the limits of authority, instruct the employees to stop the movement, protect the movement, and report the incident to the chief dispatcher. In determining that the employee vehicle has not exceeded the limits of authority, report this information to TNOC through pre-program number of the Penta evac screen or at 593-5900 for the earliest opportunity. The TNOC call center will start a trouble ticket and process the incident for the proper resolution. 41. Track warrant, track bulletins, instruction for train dispatchers.